Welcome back to Sapphire's Unscripted, episode 158. 158 episodes in just more than a year, bro. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. Like, just yesterday, it felt like we just started at 0 subs, and here we are, 158 episodes, 1.6 thousand followers, which is thank you to everyone for that. But yeah, just and obviously just back in URC now. So obviously away from internationals, back to the URC and other franchise competitions. So and it didn't disappoint. So I'm actually keen for this episode because the games did not disappoint. A lot of talking points, especially in the Stormers game and in the Bulls game, even though we won quite convincingly. There is some talking points. So yeah, I'm keen for this one.
Yeah, well, let's dive right into it. Diving right into the deep end, my team, guess what we did again? The thing we love doing most at the moment. We lost. Sharks 21 points, victors over the Stormers. We only managed to get 15 points. And I'm not gonna lie, like I'm heavy on X. Like I don't really tweet that much or anything, but I look at a lot of posts, and I saw people are so outraged about the Stormers' performance and everything, and I'm on a different wavelength. I thought the Stormers actually played pretty well. I thought that we were the better team, but we lost the game. I thought we had the Sharks on the ropes, especially if you look at their big names. And obviously, you can dispute this in a second. We beat them at scrum time. We disrupted every single line out. And, I mean, we beat the Springbok scrum, and we absolutely obliterated them, actually, to be fair. Won all the lineouts. I thought we were probably decent at ruck time, but we had so many opportunities that just got wasted. And obviously, good defensive work by the Sharks as well. But if you look at 3 knock-on tries, where we have an open try line in front of you, you don't deserve to win the game then. But overall, I thought we played the better rugby. Like an England fan at the moment, like an England international fan at the moment.
In the beginning, I was like, you guys had a good start in the beginning. Obviously, you couldn't get over the line early, but you started on the front foot. Then, obviously, Ethan Hooker scoring. Then Sia Kolisi, and when it was 14-0, I'm like, oof, I hope it's not one of those games, you know.
They were clinical because they didn't have much opportunities.
They took their chances.
Yeah.
And then Sasha with the amazing drop goal, but now the kid's injured again.
Okay, but it's a bit different this time around because I haven't told the people, but I didn't manage to watch the game live. So when you said he's injured, I got a heart attack. But it's just the HIA, right? Wasn't it?
Yeah. I think so. It was when he tried to go in for that hit on Chichuka.
No, it was Trevor Okane as well. Trevor Okane tackled him, yeah. But it wasn't malicious at all.
I watched the game live, but like I was like with family as well, so I was like trying to just balance the two. But yeah, from what I saw, he took a bit of a hit from that tackle on Chichuka that he tried to make. Yeah. But that was such a great drop goal. But yeah, I think the Sharks just took their chances, and I think you're right. Obviously, we can get to the talking point in a bit where you get the penalty try towards the end, and I don't know about the ruling at the moment on how many phases you can go back in the URC. I don't know where that rule is standing at the moment. I do know in internationals it was you could only go 2 phases back. So if someone could correct me, but if that law is outstanding or is implemented throughout rugby, then that try should have stood, which would have been insane because imagine that it actually happened. But yeah, it was a and Marnie again. Just to say one last thing on that, again, just does something insanely well, and then does so many negative things as well. And it's like,
he had a very, very, very up and down performance, Marnie, right? Because you look at that cross kick that he gave to Urshel Yankees, brilliant on the dot. You look at the way that we got out of our own 22 with Warwick Geland gives that ball back to Mani, calling it, getting that half gap, giving it back to Warwick Geland, getting us that front foot ball, right? So Mani did very well in certain aspects of the game. But then I'm not going to blame him for... I've seen a lot of people do it, but I'm not going to blame him for that knock on there at the end, right? Because it was so quickly done. Everything happened so fast. It was the slightest of touches on the ball. You kind of see those knock-ons every single game about 10 times, but they never call it, right? But obviously this is deciding the game, right? But I'm not going to blame Mani for that. But also, he didn't have a great game as a whole. And also, we butchered our opportunities. You look at that Sasha kick that we had in the first half. Herschel Yankees has 2 players outside him. Just give the ball, but he tries to hand off Vincent Chuchuka, gets absolutely smashed, knocks the ball. You look at that, we have a 5-meter scrum or whatever, or we have the breakdown. We throw that ball out wide for Warwick Geland, who has all the time in the world. There's no defender out wide. Warwick Geland knocks the ball instead of giving that ball out wide to Arsenberg for a walking try. You look at Mani Libbok getting that ball, right? He has 4 options and passes it, and brilliantly done by Apli Lefasi, who shot up into the line, right, to get his actual interception. Brilliant there. But then also Herschel Yankees. What are we doing? Bro? Like, we are 5 meters away. It takes forever. Lifts up the ball. They steal the ball and they score right from there. After he's already cost us a try as well. So the amount of opportunities that we just threw in the bin, and the decision-making, once again, I know Brett always calls it out with the Stormers, but this was insane to me when I watched the game. How can we kick to goal from the touchline when we are 5 meters out? Mani calls, okay, we're going to kick for goal. Not Mani, well, the captain, Dan Dupe, says, okay, we're going to have a shot at goal. From the touchline. He misses. We're right in front of the posts, dead straight. A minute later, we say, okay, we're going to the corner. Make it.
Yeah, like you said, it's literally just the inability to take your chances. And look, I'll give credit to the Sharks. I think they had some very good performances on that field. I think Mapimpi played quite well. I think
brilliant.
Fussy played very, very well. And Sia Kulisi, that man turned into prime 100 Brousseau for a day, because I've never seen that man steal so many balls from a ruck in my life.
Insane.
Estaden was also very good. And look, they had a lot of standout performers, and obviously they took their chances at the end of the day. I think you guys hung in there very well, and that last 3 minutes was just a good surge from you guys that never give up belief. So it's there. It's there. But then again, this leads you back to the Sharks, where they've done this a couple times, where they played Glasgow, I think it was, and Munster, where they're just letting in. Yeah, they actually let you back in quite, and the Bulls do the same. We'll get to them in a bit, but yeah,
Bulls do it even worse, to be fair. Bulls have done it for a long time.
But yeah, I did expect the Sharks to win by about, I think I said 10 or 11. But yeah, I think the Stormers did better than I thought. I mean, at scrum time, I was in disbelief. There's no ways that should be happening, especially with and the scrum they have.
All 3 the Springboks, right? Oxenche, Vincent Koch, and Trevor Nyakana when he came on for Vincent Koch. All 3 of them, they got blitzed at scrum time. It was crazy to me.
It was, because I was shocked. I mean, the first few scrums where I was like, okay, and then when I started seeing you guys really get that momentum going forward, I was like, damn, like that's I don't know what happened.
A couple of times, it was only our one side getting forward, right? So he blew us for walking around, right? That's always a tough one, because it looked like we were absolutely blitzing them still, but then he calls it the other way around for we are walking over them. So I don't really know how the refereeing around all the scrums work at all times.
The rematch in 27 days, basically, or 4 weeks essentially. Do you reckon they get it done in Cape Town?
Yeah, I think the Stormers win in Cape Town. I thought we should have won this game. I predicted us to win this game. And listen, I give full credit to the Sharks, right? They weren't bad at all. But those opportunities, I know there's always a missed opportunity, but when you have like 5 overlaps and every single time you knock the ball on an overlap, when there's no pressure on you at all, that won't happen again. Like it will never happen again. And this is obviously the first time that the Sharks beat us at in the URC. I don't know if you knew that.
No, didn't know that.
Literally the first time that they beat us. Well, that's the record that I saw. Yeah, I think we get it done. We need to start winning games. And I think even though we lost this game, there is still some positives to take from this game. And I know we're talking about the Stormers a lot, but I've seen people calling for John Dobson to be sacked. And I think we have to understand that there's a lot of injuries at the moment. I think he does feel the pressure, but he's not getting the backing. We need to sign players. We need to sign forwards to do that dirty work. I mean, look at the damage that we can do with even the players that we have, and I don't even think we have the most quality players in the world. Yeah. Andre Goedventer loves a missed tackle at the moment. That guy, seriously, slipped off tackles like it's absolutely nothing. Dweba's looking like the better hooker again. That's Dweba's not blocking a ball, to be fair. Like Dweba's starting to play himself back into some form. Because I was when he went off, I was like, I don't really know why he's getting taken off. He wasn't bad at all.
Absolutely.
What's your thoughts on people calling for Dobson's head?
It's like you said, it's a tough one. I mean, obviously, there's both sides you can hear, and I mean, where are you guys lying now? Like 14th, 13th?
We were 13th. Let me check.
Because look, at the end of the day, I think you have the Lions and the Sharks at home in December. Those are games that I can see. Actually, I don't know. But like what I'm trying to say is, your injuries, I think, is a very valid point. I mean, when you're missing Ivan Roos, you're missing Salman Murat, you're missing who else? You missing Damien Willemse,
Sasha, Damien Willemse,
Sasha now for another week.
Ben Lauder.
It's a lot of players that were involved in that team last year, and even the year before. So, yeah, it's a tough one where like you kind of how long are these injuries even out for? Because then you kind of need to say, look, there is no excuse because. I mean, realistically, as a Stormers fan, what is your expectations for the rest of the season? Do you reckon you sneak that playoff position, or do you reckon it's too late to kind of make a surge? Do you think the games?
No, I wouldn't say it's too late. There's still 12 games left. I still believe in this team. I still believe there's the talent in this team. The issue is that you can't bring in new players, right? But I would get a couple of young, hungry Lions out there. Give me some of those boys that played in the Currie Cup. I know we didn't perform well in the Currie Cup, but get them that experience. I wouldn't say it's a dying season, but especially in the forwards. Get some guys that will actually be hungry, that wants to fight for a spot, right? Instead of giving guys game time day in, day out. That just doesn't do anything. It feels like there's a bit of complacency out there. There is very much excitement in the back line. But in my opinion, I want to see Imad Khan come in, right? I know he's a small guy, right? But we've seen small guys do some magical things. I want to see him come in, get some game time in that 9 jersey. I want to see, oh my goodness, every single Lucy has just left my brain, right? But that played in the Currie Cup. That's what I want to see, right? And then especially when the new season comes, I want to buy a ton of props and hookers, please, right? I don't think the season is done and dusted at all, because a lot of these performances, like, well, we could have won that game. We could have won against Glasgow. We should have won against the Sharks. I don't know how we lost to the Ospreys, right? But if you bring back Ivan Roos, you bring in Damien Willemse again, you bring back Ben Lauder, who I thought had an amazing impact for us last season, like very underrated, all of a sudden we can start chatting again. But until then, it's about being clinical. There's so many mistakes, individual errors. I don't think it's a lot of coaching errors necessarily. Yeah. So that's my opinion on it.
100%. Ultimately, at the end of the day, I think Sharks just deserved it, and I think the Stormers weren't far off. I think they were a lot closer than people think, and like you said, Cape Town can be a different story. So I think the players just need to switch on and kind of realize it's now where we need to win these 2 games against the Lions and the Sharks to kind of assert ourselves back into the picture of SA's top team. So, yeah, I think it's big games, yeah.
Let's move on to your team, the Bulls, beating Connacht, letting in 2 tries kind of at the end. 28 points to 0 in the lead. We called the Bulls to win by about 15 points. Good performance away from home. Connacht has been decently impressive this season, so obviously you'll take a lot of confidence from that, but no internationals for them. Of course, you picked a pretty strong team. What was your thoughts overall? Were you impressed by the Bulls team? Do you just take your 5 points and run with it?
Yeah, I'm just glad we got the bonus points. I think that's the most important thing in this, is that we got the bonus points and we're now able to just kind of move forward. We're going into the Champions Cup now against Saracens. In my opinion, I would actually probably go weaker against Saracens and stronger against Saints, purely because we have a more realistic chance of winning against Saints at home than you do at Saracens if you put both full strengths out. So, yeah, but ultimately you take 5 points. I think we second on the log, if I'm not mistaken. Not 100% sure.
Third.
Okay. So
Yeah.
Third still.
Well, a game behind. So if you had to win your game in hand, you'll go above Glasgow.
I think you guys are a game in hand though. So yeah, you can't bank on that. So, but ultimately third, I think you'll take that. But again, I think the negatives for me were, I mean, it's good to get a win when you don't look great, but I think we let through a lot of tackle. I mean, we slipped a lot of tackles where they just break through the midfield. I think Kanan Moody was able, luckily, to read a lot of the play well to stop these moves, or to stop the attack. Good interception from him, and then obviously made another break down the side. And then I think David Creel again showing why he's one of the Bulls' most important players. And then just Gumede. I mean, talking about the red card.
Stupid.
He literally had the penalty right there, and all he had to do was leave the situation. And I mean, that is just blatant. It's shocking. And I hate it. It sucks when you're
That's a total brain fart.
It sucks when you're a fan of a team who commits one of these offences. And yeah, I can't say I'm proud of that as a fan. And I do think he's in big trouble. I think it's going to be a 8-week ban. It looks pretty.
Little eye gouge.
That's not great. That's very bad. Yeah. Obviously, that Connacht player knew what he was doing, but still no excuse to do what you did afterwards. So, yeah, but ultimately, Hanekom has to step up now. I thought he looked very flat when he came off the bench. He looked great. So at the end of the day, I'm happy with the bonus point win, but they have a lot of improving to do if they want to be serious in this competition. That's for sure.
Is this the end of your tour now? After Saracens?
What do you mean? Like
do you come home now after? Let me check your.
Yeah, so we play Saracens on the 7th of December, then we play Saints on the 14th back at Loftus. And then I think we have another game even in France, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so then you have Saints at Loftus, then you have the Sharks, and then you have a little break until you take on Castries in France, and then you take on Stade Francais at Loftus again.
Where's that Sharks game?
But then you're going to be in South Africa for the middle of January till about, oh my goodness, you'll be in South Africa till the end of March.
But to be fair, it feels like we've been overseas for 4 months. It's been crazy. It literally feels like we have not played at home this season. But yeah, I think, like at the end of the day, I think the whole team just needs to improve. because if we play a Leinster or something and we hit them with that type of performance, they will obliterate us. So we have to catch a wake up.
Yeah. Final South African team, Lions. Couldn't get over the line against Munster. We predicted the Lions to win this game. Well done to Munster for getting over the line. But this is the second loss for the Lions. But obviously there's some positives to take away. We always knew that Munster at some point they'll liven up and step up a bit more. Maybe a victory like this would be that momentum swing that they needed in their way. But how good was Henku van Wyk? Yeah. That how long until, because obviously we talked about it a little while ago. When are we going to start moving forward with the Springbok team in terms of getting new players through the door? Do you reckon we see Henku van Wyk in the next 2 years put on a Bok jersey at least once if he's fit? Surely that try was insane.
Yeah, I think he definitely put his hand up for sure, and I think we do see him within the next 2 years get a Bok cap. Where it will be, I don't know. It could be against Italy coming up in July. Could be against Georgia. I know we're playing them as well in July. But yeah, at the end of the day, I think his main focus shouldn't even be to be on the Springboks team. It should just be stay fit and play consistent rugby at the Lions. The rest will follow, So as long as he can keep himself strong and put on performances, whether the team's winning or losing, I think that's important for him. But for the Lions as a whole, I think maybe they got their team selection a little bit wrong in the sense that JC Pretorius maybe should have started. He's arguably been one of their best forwards this past season.
Has been the best.
Nohamba also, and then Nohamba as well on the bench, coming off the bench. Maybe not the best place for him. I think he likes to influence a game from the start. So, but ultimately that takes nothing away from Munster. We know they're a quality side, even without the Irish players. And as much as we back the Lions, at the back of my head, I was always thinking Munster might just be too strong because it's a tough travel, right? Because we call
they're so good at home. They are so tough.
We call Loftus a fortress and stuff, and we don't realize how good these Irish teams are actually at home. So ultimately, I think the Lions can look at that and say, a couple seasons ago, we're losing that by like 30 points. And we only lost it by 7. So there's growth.
A close game. It was still competitive, right? Obviously, Takir Abrams scored a try as well. Exciting to see that. But yeah, overall, I don't think the Lions will be too demoralized with it. Obviously, they would have wanted to win the game, but they're sitting in 5th at the moment with the game less. And if they had to get a bonus point victory out of that one, right, or just a victory out of that one, they move back up into number 4, right? So yeah, things are still looking up. If I'm a Lions fan, I'm still happy with it, right? You've got a lot of youngsters. Your season is looking very, very good. You still pulled one of the previous tournament's world champions literally to the end. So let's move on. That was the end of the South African teams. We'll just run through the rest real quick. Friday night, we had... Wow. Did you manage to watch these 2 games between Glasgow and Scarlets and Ulster and Leinster?
No, I didn't, because I was traveling quite a bit to visit some family, and I just didn't even realize it was on that night. Long travel, went to bed a bit early than usual. So, I didn't get to see it, but when I saw the results... and look, SUPERBRU as well. I didn't even realize those games were on the Friday. So I didn't do my picks for those 2 games, but I did my picks for the rest. And crazy. We thought Ulster might have enough, but again, Leinster just showing the depth they have. It's crazy. Yeah. That's a great win.
Massive victory
without any of your star players. You don't even have like I said, Prendergast there, who was kind of there before and now he's got that Irish call up, so you don't even have him at the wheel. So they did a great job there, and then obviously Glasgow
Nearly
just
slipping up.
sneaking over the line.
They were behind the whole game until right at the end.
Yeah,
that is crazy. I told you this Scottish team, some of these Welsh teams, you look at Cardiff as well. Cardiff sitting in 4th at the moment, Scarlet sitting in 9th. Do you predict a drop-off of those teams, and that kind of opens the gap for Munster, who's sitting in 11th, and the Stormers, who's sitting in 13th, to push up?
I do kind of expect it, because I think we find that the Welsh teams kind of towards the end just start taking beatings, because everyone's at their full strength preparing for playoffs or having a vision of making the playoffs. And then it's just full tilt. They just send absolutely everything at it. And that's when the Welsh struggle, because their internationals obviously aren't as equipped as Scottish internationals, Irish internationals, and South African internationals. So, look, at the end of the day, I think what they can do is just continuously try and make it. There's definitely games that they can sneak over the line. So look, I mean, they can't just sit there and think, okay, they're going to come on the charge. They have to kind of take initiative and qualify for that playoff before they can even make that charge. So yeah, it's important that they win the couple coming up.
That's kind of the approach that I feel Glasgow took. What was it last season? The Glasgow's obviously a very, very, very strong team, but we didn't really see them as that big of a threat going through the season, and they just accumulated points. And we saw the drop off that they had at the end of the season, before the playoffs.
Yeah.
But then obviously they've done enough throughout the season to kind of get into a favorable position. So that's kind of the same thing that these Welsh teams have to do. But I'm not going to beat around the bush. They've been impressive, you know. That was not a weak Glasgow team at all. I thought Glasgow was going to go a lot weaker, right, before we did our predictions. And then I saw the team and I was like, no, they are winning by 25 points, because we know their record at home. This was away from home for Scarlets, and still they put up a performance like this. I think they had a 1-point loss at the end of the game against Connacht as well. Now imagine they won those 2 games. You add 8 points to Scarlets. They're sitting in 3rd then. Cardiff is anyway sitting in 4th. Just saying.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's those fine margins, right? Like, it's these games where you lose by a couple points and you've missed opportunities, and it's like this picture could have been so much different. And that's the thing. Rugby is about taking your chances. It doesn't matter who dominates the game or what. It's about taking your chances and kind of just realizing, like, especially in this format, you can't afford to slip up here and there, because you kind of want to put yourself in the best position going forward, give yourself security that if towards the end of the season where you dip, you still have some room to dip. But if you start dipping now, it wrecks your confidence. You start building up some steam, and it just takes a loss to kind of take that all away. So, yeah, I think even you guys kicking yourselves for not winning that game against the Sharks, because that could have changed a lot of things, you know. That could have changed a lot of perspectives in the country. So yeah, I think it's these fine margins that mean so much. But yeah,
that's always the thing, right? The narrative completely switches, because if the Stormers won that game against the Sharks, it's like, that's probably what the Stormers needed. That momentum switch. You know, they can still win it, come from behind. And all of a sudden, people are doubting the Sharks. How did they lose against this struggling Stormers team? But now that's not the narrative, right? Because of the smallest knock-on that you'll see. It's a game of small margins, as you said. Cardiff beating Dragons. Cardiff, as we said, in 4th. Dragons, I think they're dead last now. Yeah, Dragons dead last. It was a tight first half. They put up a good showing at the start and then just got blitzed. I don't have much to add to it. I didn't see the game live. I just saw the highlights of it. Do you have anything to add on that one?
I think Cardiff sitting in 4th is quite cool, I think. But like at the end of the day, I still don't think they'll be able to maintain that. But yeah, look, the Welsh, unfortunately, like they just don't have the quality, and that's no disrespect. I think every country goes through this at some stage where you see the drop off in quality that you produce, and it affects everything. It affects your international rugby. It affects your local rugby, your franchise rugby, and yeah, it's not great. And obviously, every derby is going to be tightly contested. You get the odd one where it's a bit of a blowout or whatever, but most derbies are tight, and so you could put Scarlets against Cardiff or whatever. But at the end of the day, I mean,
Yeah.
I thought we were the same. We both thought Cardiff would have too much, and they did. So yeah, not much more to say on it, but I mean, good on Cardiff for lying fourth, at least.
Banger of a game. Edinburgh versus Benetton. Edinburgh, 50 points. 50 points to 33. That's a massive game. 83 points in it. Edinburgh, since we told them that they are being shit, since they beat the Stormers, they've just picked up their game. They've moved from like last place after their horrible tour to South Africa to 7th. 3 wins in a row for them, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's 3 in a row.
Could be.
Moved to 18 points now, sitting in 7th position. Actually 1 point behind the Sharks, 1 point behind the Lions. Well, both of them 1 game less as well. I mean, it's not looking bad out there in Scotland.
Not at all. And luckily, like all of their players kind of get just equally spread between 2 teams, essentially, So, I mean, they have quality in their teams. I mean, any international playing at this level brings something that you need to these teams. So, yeah, I mean, if I'm not mistaken, and someone can correct me, because I was also just checking scores while we were sitting around the fire and stuff.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, I think Edinburgh were up quite a bit in that game. I think at one stage they were very far ahead. I could be wrong. I could be thinking of a different game.
I'm not too sure. I wasn't able to watch.
No, yeah, that's the thing. So if someone could tell us in the comments, or it was the Zebre Ospreys game. It could be that one. I'm not sure. But yeah, at the end of the day, good win for Edinburgh and Benetton. Where they lie?
Benetton at the moment are in 12th. So they had their 2 victories. That's the thing, right? If Benetton won that game, I'd be speaking about them like I spoke about Edinburgh, because they started off slow. But if they got that 4 points and Edinburgh didn't get anything, then they would have been in 7th and Edinburgh would have still been in 12th. It's tight.
It shows you how tight,
very, very tight. If the Stormers got their victory, they would have gone to the Stormers would have gone to, well, not that much higher, 11th. But the Sharks would have still sat also at like 11th, but the Sharks are in 6th now. Small margins.
It is. I think we're going to see a lot of upsets this season, just purely because how I feel like it's been so, not to like boast or toot the horn of South African teams, but since we've joined, I feel like over the years, it's kind of got to this point now where they've improved us in some ways and we've improved them in some ways. And now it's become this thing where anyone can beat anyone on any given day. It's no longer this, we can expect a blowout victory or something like that, because you never know what type of Benetton will show up. You never know whether you'll get, a Bulls at their best or a Bulls who will let you in towards. So you get a lot of different factors here, and I think it makes for a great tournament. And I think you kind of just have to give praise to Leinster, where they've been just super consistent and just carry on winning.
By the way, just to answer your question, it was Edinburgh that was in a massive lead. They were in the lead 35-5.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's you kind of look at that and think, okay, great win, obviously, but I don't know why teams do this. And I hate it as a player as well. Like, you're winning comfortably, and then players just start switching off, and it's like they just score 1, then they score 2, then you start stressing and they score 3. So yeah, it's not a as a fan.
Yeah.
Obviously, as a neutral, it makes for good rugby, but as a fan, it makes you, especially as a Bulls fan, it makes you want to pull out your hair because
And you've seen this bite teams in the arse
it
badly.
has. Um,
Like
if
one
teams aren't
that just
careful,
stands out. Do you remember that game that we had also in the Autumn Nations, but a couple of years under Dave Rennie, where Wales were in a massive lead against Australia, and Australia, like in the last 15 minutes, scored about 4 tries and won the game right at the death. After they lost to Italy the weekend before. Yeah, that's the thing, right? But let's go on to the final game. I feel very proud about this prediction. I said Zebra will finally get a win again. I said they will get the victory done over Ospreys. They've done it. They've done. What was the points even? What was that? 22-15? Not even sure. 22-17. Wow. Zebra on the
so
up.
that's a great win. That's a
15th.
great win. Yeah. I mean, obviously, that will be their first their win for the next couple months. But yeah, it's a good result. We give them credit where credit is due. I didn't think they'd get it done because I think the Ospreys, they're a side that can cause a threat. We've seen it. And then obviously just brain fart and absolutely bottle it to Zebre. So
Yeah.
this is where I say the Welsh unfortunately just do not have the quality for this competition. Same with the Italians, But ultimately, like I said, you can't play them and think we're going to blow them out because you don't know what, like they did against you. You don't know what they're going to do. You don't know how they're going to show up. So, yeah, but ultimately, consistency-wise, they just aren't there. So, I mean, but congratulations to Zebre. I think that's a great one.
Yeah, and that brings us to the end of it. And now we look forward to the Champions Cup. Obviously, interesting discussions to be held. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll chat to you guys next time. Please do remember to like and subscribe. We do appreciate you guys. Have a good one. Bye-bye.